Chosen one. Pause for a second. Feel that stillness in your chest, the quiet tension, the strange awareness that something just shifted. You didn't end up here by accident. You didn't stumble into this moment. You were guided here, drawn here, pulled here. Something in you recognized something in these words before your mind had time to judge them. That hesitation you felt before continuing to read, that wasn't doubt. That was recognition. That was your spirit realizing this wasn't just content. This was contact. This was alignment. This was timing, and timing like this is never random. You've been searching for a message, but what you didn't realize is that the message has been searching for you. You thought you were scrolling for answers, for meaning, for clarity, for direction, but the truth is, something has been tracking your frequency, watching your movements, following your patterns, not in fear, in intention, not in chaos, in order. You weren't lost. You were being led, guided through moments, through pain, through loss, through confusion, through silence, through isolation, through endings. All of it was positioning. All of it was preparation. All of it was alignment. This moment right now is not coincidence. It's not luck. It's not timing. It's not algorithm. It's not chance. It's orchestration. Something far bigger than logic brought you here. Something far deeper than motivation connected you to these words. Something beyond explanation made you stop long enough to feel instead of scroll. And before we go further, you need to understand something. Your presence here is evidence. Your attention here is proof. Your resonance here is confirmation. This isn't random discovery. This is recognition. You've been sensing patterns, signs, repetitions. Moments that felt too perfect to be coincidence. Conversations that answered questions you never spoke out loud. Songs that felt like they were written for your exact situation. Numbers that follow you. Dreams that feel more like messages than imagination. Encounters that change your direction without explanation. Doors closing and opening in ways that defy logic. You felt it. You've noticed it. And part of you tried to dismiss it. But another part of you knew better. You're not imagining the patterns. You're not fabricating meaning. You're not creating connections out of desperation. You're becoming aware. Awareness feels strange at first. It feels overwhelming. It feels confusing. It feels intense. But it's not delusion. It's perception. Most people live asleep to patterns. You're waking up to them. That's the difference. And awakening always feels destabilizing before it feels peaceful. Clarity always feels like chaos before it feels like order. Alignment always feels uncomfortable before it feels safe. Here's the truth. You didn't come here to receive information. You came here because something in you is transforming. Something in you is shifting. Something in you is restructuring. You've been through losses that felt unnecessary. Endings that felt unfair. Delays that felt cruel, silences that felt unbearable, and every one of them took something from you. Not just things, versions of you. Identities, attachments, beliefs, expectations, illusions. You didn't just lose situations. You lost selves. There are versions of you that no longer exist. The version that thought stability came from money. The version that thought worth came from relationships. The version that thought safety came from control. The version that thought identity came from performance. The version that thought strength came from self-reliance. Those versions didn't evolve. They ended, they collapsed, they dissolved. And each ending felt like destruction. Each loss felt like failure. Each collapse felt like regression. But none of it was regression. It was restructuring. You didn't just go through hard seasons, you went through identity deaths. Moments where the old you couldn't survive the new reality. Moments where the old mindset couldn't function in the new environment. Moments where the old coping systems failed. Moments where the old self collapsed. And every time, something new had to form. Not better, not improved, different. You weren't being upgraded. You were being remade. There was a season where your stability collapsed. Financially, structurally, externally. You remember that moment. The fear, the shock, the realization that what you built could disappear. And what died there wasn't just security, it was identity. The identity of I'm safe because I'm stable. That version ended. Then there was the season where relationships broke. Connections ended. People left, trust dissolved. And what died wasn't just love. It was validation, the belief that being chosen by people made you chosen in life. Then came the season where your body or mind betrayed you. Health shifted, energy faded, mental strength weakened, control disappeared. And what died there wasn't just wellness, it was self-reliance. The belief that you could always depend on yourself. And then came the season where your future collapsed. Dreams failed. Plans ended, doors closed, and what died there wasn't just opportunity, it was narrative. The story you told yourself about who you were becoming, then came the deepest one. The surrender, the collapse, the giving up. The moment you stopped fighting. The moment you stopped trying to fix everything. The moment you said, I can't do this anymore. That wasn't weakness. That was transformation. Because what died there was ego, control, identity, attachment. The version of you that believed you had to manage everything to survive. 5 endings, 5 collapses, 5 identities gone, 5 versions of you that don't exist anymore. Not because you failed, but because you outgrew them. Not because you were punished, but because they couldn't carry what you're becoming. Not because you were broken, but because they were limited containers for something larger. Here's the truth most people never realize: destruction and construction look the same at first. Clearing feels like loss. Demolition feels like chaos. Restructuring feels like breakdown. But what feels like endings is often foundation work. What feels like loss is often preparation. What feels like collapse is often clearing. You weren't being stripped, you were being prepared. You thought God was removing things from your life, but He was making space. You thought doors were closing to punish you, but they were closing to redirect you. You thought people leaving meant rejection, but it meant protection. You thought silence meant abandonment, but it meant transformation. Everything that left had to leave. Everything that ended had to end. Everything that collapsed had to collapse, because what you're becoming can't be built on old foundations. It can't survive on old systems. It can't function with old identities. It can't grow in old structures. Something new requires new ground, new identity, new structure, new foundation, new alignment, new consciousness. And here's the shift, the realization that changes everything. You're not here to wreck. I've the message. You're here because you are becoming the message. You're not the audience. You're the signal. You're not the listener. You're the transmission. You're not the seeker. You're the carrier. You're not the consumer. You're the conduit. You've spent so long looking for direction, but now you're becoming direction. You've spent so long looking for truth, but now you're embodying truth. You've spent so long searching for confirmation, but now your presence is confirmation. You've spent so long waiting for signs, but now you are the sign. This is why nothing feels normal anymore. This is why you can't go back. This is why old environments feel suffocating. This is why old conversations feel empty. This is why old habits feel foreign. This is why old goals feel hollow. You're not broken. You're incompatible with your old self. There's something inside you now. A pressure, a restlessness, a fire. A sense of purpose without clarity, a calling without language, a direction without a map. That's not anxiety. That's activation. That's transmission energy. That's the signal forming. That's the message preparing to move. You're entering a new identity phase, not improvement, not healing, not growth. Transformation, reinvention, emergence, reconstruction, activation, alignment, becoming. This isn't about fixing who you were. It's about stepping into who you are. From this moment forward, life won't feel the same. You'll start noticing timing differently. People defer. NTLY, conversations differently, opportunities differently, resistance differently, silence differently, pain differently, loss differently. You'll interpret everything through a new lens, not fear but meaning, not chaos but structure, not confusion but design. You won't chase purpose anymore, you'll attract it. You won't search for alignment, you'll embody it. You won't look for doors, they'll open around you. You won't seek confirmation. You'll become confirmation. You won't wait for clarity. You'll walk in it. Because the version of you reading this is not version 1, not version 2, not version 3, not version 4, not version 5. You are version 6, the survivor, the carrier, the signal, the message, the one that made it through every collapse, the one that lived through every ending, the one that survived every identity death. This isn't the end of your story. This is the beginning of your function, not your journey, your mission, not your healing, your transmission, not your seeking, your becoming. You didn't find this message, you aligned with it. You didn't discover this truth, you recognized it. You're not lost, you're not broken, you're not behind, you're not late, you're not forgotten, you're not confused, you're not failing, you're forming, you're activating, you're emerging, you're aligning, you're becoming. You are not the seeker, you are the message, and your life is the transmission.